And we're back in the second part of the import-export service video walkthroughs. In this video, I'm going to take a database that I have in my on-premise SQL Server, and I'm going to move it to SQL Azure using the client-side tools working together with the import-export service. So to start with, as before, I'm going to export this database to the local client in the form of a backpack. To do so, I'll use the client-side tools as I was using before, paste in the command, and let the export proceed. And shortly, I should see this backpack fill up. Great, my export's complete, and my backpack's filled out. Now remember, the service goes directly between blob storage and SQL Azure. So before I can use the service, I'm going to upload that backpack up to my storage account. So again, I'm using Storage Explorer as I was before. And let's go to that location. Here's my backpack. And let's upload that up. Alright, now my backpack is in my storage account. Now this time when I use the service, I'm not going to use my storage account key. I'd like to actually create a shared access key, which provides a more limited amount of access to the storage account. To do that, I'll select the backpack and then hit Security. Now select the Shared Access Signatures tab, and you can specify a signature for the container or a specific file within it. In this case, I'll be using the specific file, and I'll generate a read-only signature for approximately an hour. Finally, to generate the signature, I'll click the Generate Signature button, and then see my signature actually pops up here. We'll come back to that. Next, I'm going to select a server that I'd like to import into. In this case, I'll use my trusty server from the previous examples. So select the server, select import, and provide your credentials. The database and name. Change the size in addition if you need to. For a larger backpack, you should definitely increase the size. Now when using a shared access key, the URL and the key are a little trickier. We'll come back to our Storage Explorer here. And to pass this into the form, I'll need to split it up. So I'll come to the back and pick up everything right before this sig, and I'll put that into the URL. Notice it's got the sig equals at the end there. Then coming back, I just need to grab the key at the very end, and then paste that into the access key. Now I'm ready to submit my import request. Finish. Get my request ID again, and if I refresh here, and the new database is probably already created. And there it is. Now the shared access key is a little more difficult to use than the standard storage account. Again, you can get your storage account key, but in your storage account section here under hosted services, select your storage account. You can see your properties. Hit view, copy that to your clipboard, close the form, come back to the database, and we'll import it to a different server. Again with the credentials. Same database name. And the key this time is the full storage access key. And another way to get the URL is to come to Storage Explorer, so that form, find the backpack that you'd like to import, double click on it, and it will display the full URL for that file. So coming back, paste that in, and I'm ready to import to this server as well. I got my request ID. And now I'd like to actually see the status of that request. So I'll select status up here in the ribbon, provide my credentials, And here I see that request that I just submitted, same request ID as before, is in a running state. Now for imports, we highly recommend that you do not log in or touch, drop the database until it's finished importing. You can always refresh here to get the latest update. Now we'll cancel out of that. Now as you can imagine, importing and exporting with the wizards can be a bit tedious, particularly if you need to do it frequently. So just like we did with the client-side tools, we've also provided a client-side EXE to serve as an implementation example over the service's public REST endpoints. So let's go grab it. I'll search for SQL DAC examples. And here it is on CodePlex. Click on the download section. And here's a service client we saw earlier. So we'll select that. And just like with the client-side EXE, we've provided the sources so you can see exactly how we've implemented the EXE. Or you can just download the EXE to use. And just with the client-side EXE, it also has an EXE and a configuration. You'll need to copy both, and I'll put these in the same path as I put the other client-side tools. Now I've got both EXEs sitting side by side, so I'll close those and come back to the portal. You'll notice I have other servers in different data centers. One in Southeast Asia, West Europe, East Asia, North Europe. And what I like to do is import that same backpack into all of these data centers. There's the first one, second, third, and fourth. And here I'm leveraging service. If I had to do this from the client side, it would take quite a bit of time to import into each of these data centers. Additionally, because the service is scaled out, it can parallelize the load and cover my import-export needs that much faster. There's an instance of the service in every single data center. So we always ensure that your import-export request is serviced within the same data center as your database. Your storage account, however, can be in a different data center. As we've seen here, I've imported and exported from one storage account to multiple data centers using different instances of the service. The EXE knows which instance of the service to submit the request to, as does the portal. If you'd like to use the REST endpoints directly, I recommend you take a look at the EXE's implementation to see how that's done. Coming back to the portal now, if I refresh, I should see that same sales database in the two servers I had before, and now in every other server as well. Lastly, the EXE can also show you status. As we can see here, my import request completed successfully for one of the servers. We hope you'll find the service and the client-side tools working together can provide you with some good portability and migration workflows for both your on-premise SQL Server and for SQL Azure.